Hello, it's Adam again with Last Light Paranormal. We're coming at you again with another session video. This one is a PSB7 Pro Spirit Box session video. The entire session was intense from start to finish. And as we went back to listen to the evidence, it got even more intense because we naturally heard things that we didn't hear originally in the real-time audio. And then as I was clipping the evidence and putting it together, I was able to hear even more that I didn't hear before. So we really hope you guys enjoy the video. Again, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. Facebook, you can get all kinds of little clips and so forth that you may not see on YouTube and on other platforms. So be sure to check us out there. And again, we really hope you enjoy the video. And as always, there's more to come. This first spirit response was very short and sweet, but somewhat personal. As in real time, it came out to say what sounded almost like my wife's name, Katie. Upon review and slowing it down by about 60%, we were able to confirm that that's indeed what the spirit said. This becomes even more interesting in the following slide, and we'll explain more there. Okay. They say Katie. Okay. They say Katie. Okay. They say Katie. In this next bit of evidence, you can actually hear me trying to validate as to whether or not they were saying my wife's name, Katie. I was immediately met with a response that sounded like the word daughter. And so we immediately went to two possibilities of what they may have been referring to. Possibility number one, it could have very well been my wife's deceased mother trying to reach out to her. Possibility number two, we have a daughter named Raven who is only 3, but she is able to see and communicate with spirits without the use of technology, just on her own. And there's one in particular that she talks to quite often, and we get into that later on in this session video. Katie. Did you say Katie? Daughter?
Are you asking about Raven?
This next piece of evidence really has no context surrounding it. It was in a point in time where we hadn't asked any questions, and we were randomly met with a voice coming through saying what sounds like you're hurting me or hurting them, him, her, whatever the last word is. We really can't understand it. Maybe you guys can. And at the time, we didn't realize that this response may tie in to some of the very intense responses still to come later on in this video. Again, we are in a part of the session where there really wasn't any question asked. as we often leave space for them just to give us messages or ask us questions. And a voice comes through saying what sounds like my name, Adam. And upon slowing it down, we confirm that that is indeed what they're saying. So now we have on our hands a spirit or spirits that know not only my wife's name, but they know my name, which thickened the plot a bit and made us wonder if it was a deceased loved one or something far beyond that.
Did it say my name? Did it say my name?
We officially made it to the part of the session where things had begun to get intense. In this part of the session, we'd asked the spirit to say our son Aiden's name, because he likes to sit in with us on a lot of these sessions and be part of it. And it's always nice when a spirit can come out and say your name. At this point, we didn't get them to say his name. Instead, we heard a very coarse, unintelligible growling sound come through the spirit box. And I've been doing this for well over a decade. I've never had anything growl like that through a spirit box. We've dealt with threats of demons. We've dealt with demons. We've dealt with evil spirits and so forth. But this was actually a first for us. We actually heard something growling, but we had no idea what it was trying to say. And this is just the beginning.
Can you say Aiden's name? Can you say Aiden?
As if that last crazy response wasn't enough, after a little bit of time where we weren't asking anything, just listening, we hear another growling voice come through the spirit box. This one seems a little bit angrier, almost as if they're screaming. And the best conclusion that we can come up with on this, after slowing it down, cleaning up the audio as best we could, because there's only so much you can do with a spirit box, we heard what sounds like a spirit saying, "I am not a liar." This is clearly residual. They weren't talking to us because we didn't set up a context for that. They're screaming at someone in their own world or at someone from their past and they're stuck in a loop. Either way, this was crazy, and it only gets crazier from there. This next part of the session was more on the normal side and a little less crazy. However, there is something important to point out here. I'd asked the spirit if they meant us any harm. And after a few seconds, a male voice comes through and says, "Hi." A very clear "hi." Which tells me they intelligently know we're there. They're telling us "hi." And later on in this session, we get another response with that same person's voice. So that's what makes this so special. It may sound like an ordinary "hi" until you realize that we're getting the same person again later on.
Do you want to hurt anyone here? Hi. Did you hear the hi? Do you want to hurt anyone here? Hi. Did you hear the hi?
After a while, we hit a bit of a dry spot in our session. We weren't getting any responses intelligently or residually. Now, before I tell you what the next response was, after I asked this next question, I want to give you a bit of a background, some context. As mentioned before in this video, I had said that our daughter Raven has the ability to communicate with spirits without technology in her own little way. She's, again, a 3-year-old. And as such, she has always mentioned one particular spirit that she called Hat Man. We never taught her that name. Never. And so, up until now, we never really spoke to Hat Man. Never really got any response from him, no matter how many times we try to use our technology to reach out to him. So, everyone knows who Hat Man is. It's in lore. We have paranormal investigator testimonies of their own versions of Hat Man that they've encountered. And so I asked, just randomly, is the fabled Hat Man here? And without hesitation, a male voice comes through and simply says, no. Now, the significance of this just goes without saying. Number one, we have an intelligent response here. It is hearing what I'm saying and responding to it instantly. The second most important part of this is that this is the same male voice that we heard earlier when we asked the spirits, do you mean us any harm? And the spirit came through and said, hi. From what we can gather, that is the same male voice, which makes this session, again, all the more crazy.
Is the fabled Hat Man here?
No.
Did you say no? Is the fabled Hat Man here?
No.
Did you say no?
At this point in time in the session, things begin to take an even darker turn than what they already have. We proceeded to give spirits a chance to speak on their own without us interfering with any questions. After a little bit, we hear a voice come through saying what sounds like, "Trusted you, devil." And as you can hear, the voices kind of seem like a mixture of different tonalities, and that's because spirits use whatever audio is available to create their voice. So whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter because they're using that audio. But aside from that, an interesting point in this is that on a previous response, if you remember, we had a spirit growling what sounds like, "I am not a liar." And now we have a spirit here saying that they trusted someone and they're calling them a devil. Could these two responses be connected? Could it be the same spirit? Could the one saying that I'm not a liar be screaming at the one that says, I trusted you, giving a conflict in between? Are we hearing both sides of the argument in two different sections of the session? It's a very interesting situation, and it gets even more interesting from here. Alright, so here we have probably my favorite part of the entire session. As I was sitting on the couch doing this session, on my left side, I could feel, like on my arm and so forth, I could feel a presence. I could feel static. I could feel a change in the environment. And for those of us who have done this long enough, we know that that's an indication of a spirit being there in the room with you or very close to you. And this prompted me to ask, who is there on my left side? And without hesitation, I hear a very small voice come through saying what sounds like demon. And then another voice a second or two after that saying what sounds like the devil. And now you can see we're sensing the theme here. We're starting to have spirits talk about demons and devils. And there's a lot of angry chatter as we've had. So this continues through the rest of this session. And this is why in the beginning I said this was going to be a very intense session. And it really doesn't let up to the end.
What spirit is right next to me on my left side? Demon. Did you hear that?
Things in the session briefly took a very interesting turn of events. As with nearly all of my sessions, my wife is always there by my side, listening in, asking questions, being a part of the session. And she heard something I didn't realize myself. We heard a voice that sounded like the voice of my deceased grandmother. I referred to her as Memo. But unfortunately, I was speaking at the same time she spoke, or it spoke. So we really didn't get to confirm that entirely. So I began to ask, Memo, are you there? I met with a very low, growly voice saying what sounds like my name, followed by, I need help. And then followed by a bunch of other voices yelling hello, as if they're desperately trying to be heard. And the voice saying, I need help, also sounded very desperate. So, here in this session, we have spirits talking of demons, the devil, so on and so forth. Very angry spirits arguing. And then we have what sounds like some suffering spirits saying that they need help. But the voice that came through did not sound like my grandmother's voice. And just for a quick disclaimer, I'm of the mind that we don't really know what we're talking to. I will never fully believe that we are always 110% talking to deceased loved ones, human spirits. For all we know, there could be entities out there that are mimicking human spirits, trying to goad us in. We don't have anything that we can use to prove it 100%. So, always keep your mind open. Don't always believe that what you're talking to is what you want to be talking to.
Memo, are you here? You're there. Hello? Hello?
I need help.
You need help. Hello? You keep saying hello. Memo, are you here? You're there. Hello? Hello?
I need help.
You need help. Hello?
Congratulations, you have now made it to the last part of the session. This entire session has been crazy. It has been largely negatively charged with people screaming, growling, arguing, speaking of demons and the devil. And this last piece of evidence is no exception. And as we go to close out, we were allowing them again space to communicate without us interfering with any type of communication coming from us. And we hear a string of very interesting voices come through. The first one appears to be a spirit screaming, but we don't know what they're saying. Right after that, we hear a very small, almost impossible to understand voice saying what may sound like the words, "Get out." Right after that, we hear another voice come through saying what I feel is a very clear, "It's evil." And that closes out the session, because beyond that, we received no other responses. So as I said before, this session was intense, full of turmoil, evil, and warnings. And I don't think we've ever really had a session like that before, at least not to that extent. Thank you for listening to this session, watching this video, and as always, there is more to come.
Did you hear that one? What do you want? You're right here, okay? Did you hear that one? What do you want? You're right here, okay?
Hello guys, thanks again for watching our session video. We hope you really enjoyed it. And as always, there's more to come. If you're interested in seeing more, you can follow the platforms you see posted up here on your screen. Now, obviously, you have found us on one of those two platforms. So, if you found us on Facebook but didn't know we had a YouTube, it's always worth checking out. You pretty much have the same videos there, but if you scroll to the bottom, you're going to see a lot of old videos we did before we were known as Last Light Paranormal that might interest you. They're still as awesome as the ones we have today. If you found us on YouTube and didn't know we had a Facebook, you'll definitely want to check that out. Not only do we share the same videos, for the most part, that YouTube has, you'll be able to see exclusive preview clips and information on upcoming session videos, as well as paranormal clips, audio clips, special posts that you won't find on YouTube. Facebook is also our main spot for our live sessions, which we like to make an interactive experience out of by allowing viewers to comment questions that you would like us to ask the spirits. We do spirit box sessions live. We do Obulus. We do a lot of different kinds of sessions live. And we would love for you to be a part of that. So again, thank you sincerely for watching this video. We hope that you share this with other people. And if you'll subscribe, you're definitely going to see more videos coming out in the near future. Thanks again.